Welcome to Katie Wonders, a podcast for seeking wonder and inspiration in everything. I'm Katie, your host, and on this week's mini edition episode, I'm going to be giving you my monthly favorites for March. I cannot believe that April is basically here, and April 2016 is a very significant month for me because for a very long time I've known that my book, Let It Out, A Journey Through Journaling, was being published on April 5th of 2016. I knew that about 2 years ago, so it's always been this looming month in my mind that's about to be here, and now it's here, and I'm so excited. So my book for the month is my book, Let It Out, A Journey Through Journaling. Pre-order now. Well, actually, pre-order now, but it's going to be available to you in like 3 or 4 days. It's so soon. April 5th. If you pre-ordered it, it will be delivered to you. And if you want to order it now, that would be fantastic. Maybe order a copy for yourself and your friend and your best friend and your second best friend and your third best friend and your niece and your aunt and your grandma and your grandpa and everyone you know. It's a great gift. It's a really fun book to do together. You could have a little book club. It would be really awesome if you could check out the book and share the book because I've worked on it for a really long time and I'm really proud of it and I really like it. So that's all I'm going to say about my book. But if you want to hang out with me and meet me and hear more about the book and talk about the book and get your book signed, I will be in New York City for the first stop on my book tour next week. So I'm basically there all of next week, but on April 5th, the actual day the book comes out, next Tuesday, if you're listening to this podcast on the day it comes out, I will be in New York City doing a live podcast. I'm co-hosting it with my friend and fellow podcaster, Christy Harrison, and we have a fantastic panel of guests talking about body image and lots of really cool things. It's going to be a great time. Tickets are only $10. They're almost selling out, so make sure you grab your ticket now and come to New York. Or if you're in New York, come to the event and hang out. I would love to see you there, give you a hug. That would be fantastic. So again, that's Tuesday, April 5th. And then the next day, on Wednesday, April 6th, that's my New York City launch party. And it's being hosted at Ginger Snap Organic in the West Village by Jordan Bach and Gabby Bernstein. They're co-hosting this launch party for me, which I am just so grateful and feeling so supported and happy about. It's really going to be an awesome, awesome time. So many of my friends are going to be there, and I hope to meet a bunch of you guys, a bunch of listeners, so please come. Gabby wrote the foreword to my book, so she'll be there, obviously, to sign books and hang out. I'll be there, obviously, to sign books and give hugs. Jordan is DJing. He's making a playlist that's, going to be like a solid Biebs and Taylor Swift and like old school Nelly rotation, so it's just going to be a fun dance party. 7 to 8:30, Ginger Snap Organic. Be there or be square. It's going to be a blast. So into the rest of my favorites. So this month, the podcast that I'm going to shout out that I'm really loving, I guess I'll give out two. The first one is the Nerdette podcast, and this is produced by the same people that are at the same place as the people that produced This American Life. So it's super well produced, and I love the two co-hosts, Greta and Trisha. And Trisha actually went to my college. She's really cool. They're both really cool. They talk to really cool people. They just had on Rebecca Traister, who wrote the book All the Single Ladies, about being single in this day and age, and it's on my list to read next when I have a bit more time. But that was the most recent episode I heard. I think they might be on a little hiatus, but that's a perfect time to get into their podcast. If you are new to it, you can go and explore their archive. They're really fantastic, and it's a great podcast. And one of the things, this will launch me into the TV show that I wanted to talk about, then I'll circle back to the other podcast, but one of the things that they do with their podcast is they always give out homework after the episode of things you should check out or do or try, which I love. And one of the homeworks from this past episode that I listened to was to check out the new Shonda Rhimes TV show, which is called The Catch. And I don't have a TV, and I don't really, well, I shouldn't say I don't really watch much TV, because I have been watching some Netflix here and there, and I've been loving it, and I think TV is awesome. But I haven't been watching a ton recently, at least. And the TV show that they suggested, The Catch, I was like, all right, I'm going to watch this. So I watched the pilot episode last night, and you guys, it's so good. It's really, really fantastic. It's like a mystery on the edge of your seat type of a situation. I don't know. Just watch it. I really enjoyed the pilot. Who knows? It might be really bad in a couple episodes. It might be really good. I don't know. I think Shonda Rhimes is awesome, so I want to support her, so I'm going to watch the show, I think. So check it out. It's on ABC. It's called The Catch, and yeah, just if you're looking for a show to check out, maybe worth checking out. Another podcast that I've been really loving this month is Alexi Wasser's podcast called Love Alexi. And if you don't know Alexi Wasser, she's also my person of the month, but she has a blog called I Am Boy Crazy. And I found out about her a couple years ago. I might have found out about her. I think she might be featured in Sophia Amoruso's book Girl Boss. Unclear, not sure. I know she's really good friends with her, and she was a bridesmaid in Sophia's wedding, but I'm not sure how I found her blog, but I found her blog years ago, and I loved it. I think she's funny and interesting and fascinating, and just seems like a really kind, cool person. She's also an only child like me, and she's really into love and relationships and just being really vulnerable with what she shares, which I appreciate and admire and find really interesting as content. So her podcast is just the same. It's on the Nerdette network, which is the same network as Pete Holmes, and I think she records in the same spot actually in LA, and it's very similar format to Pete's show, where she just has really long form organic conversations. The one that was released today, I just downloaded it, and it's 2 hours plus long, which is my favorite type of podcast. So love Alexi, check that out, check out her blog, and I'm actually, exclusive information, going to get her onto my podcast, so you'll get to hear more about her hopefully really soon. You ever wonder what it all really means? You wonder if you ever find your dreams. So, movie. I was thinking about this, and I haven't really been watching many movies lately. I'm trying to think even if I've watched anything remotely recently, and I really haven't, but I've been craving going to the movies actually and watching a movie on my own or with friends at home. And I think the first movie that I watch when I have time, which hopefully will be soon, is movies that I've seen before many times, but Before Sunrise and Before Sunset. It's a trilogy, and they're these amazing movies with Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, and they're all about conversation. And there's not really plot, there's more just conversation. And if you think about movies, it's not really the plot you remember. You know, if you think of your favorite movie, you don't really remember, like, if he gets the bad guy or not. You remember everything that happens around it and what it looked like, and or at least that's what I remember with movies. And I absolutely love these movies. When I saw them for the first time in college, they're from the 90s, and the most recent one was made, I think, in 2012 or something, I'm not sure, but more recently. And they're just so fantastic. I love them. I listened to Ethan Hawke on WTF, Mark Maron's podcast this week, and I really like him as an actor, as a person. He just seems like a really cool guy and just a nice person. And as I was listening to that interview, it reminded me of his movies Before Sunset and Before Sunrise, and it just made me want to rewatch them. So I think that's on my list. And if you haven't seen them, I'm jealous of you. I'm always jealous of people who haven't seen my favorite movies, because it's like, oh, I wish I could rewatch them for the first time. But it actually will feel like the first time for me, because I haven't seen them in so long. So that's what is next on my list to watch when I have some time. These dreams be waking me up at night. And moving on now to food. So I was preparing to do this episode and record this, and I was thinking about, like, what have I eaten recently? And I was like, man, I am so boring with my food. Like, I just had my like go-to thing, which is like my favorite snack / like meal sometimes, which is like pumpkin seed butter dipped with apples dipped into it, and like avocado toast and oatmeal sometimes, and chia pudding, and like all these things I just like eat on the regular that I've talked about on this favorites version of the podcast a million times. And so I'm just like, gosh, I don't even have anything that is new to share, and hopefully I do. I've just been pretty boring with food. So I thought if it's cool with you guys, I would answer the question that I ask most of my guests on my interview version of the podcast, which is, what is the best thing you've eaten in the last week? So I'm going to answer that question for you right now, today, the day I'm recording this. So in the last week, I went out to dinner with my dad a couple days ago. And we went to my favorite place, which is right by where I live. It's called Om Cafe. It's this vegan cafe that I love, and the food must be good because my dad is like so not a vegan, but he really likes it too. So I ordered this thing called the nori roll. It's like sushi with brown rice and avocado, and it's really good. It's really fantastic, and you dip it in this really great tahini sauce. Great thing. I've gotten it many times. Really good. But I had tremendous order envy. And I'm not sure if any of you have had order envy before, but it is an epidemic. And it's when you look across the table at what somebody else ordered and you are so massively jealous of what you ordered compared to what they ordered, and you wish you could just return what you ordered to get what they ordered or jump across the table and steal theirs. So my dad got the special of the week. And that made it even worse because it wasn't like, oh, I live right by this cafe, I can just get this another time, no problem. It was the last day that this special was going to be on the menu, maybe ever. So I was freaking out. And then my dad was like, do you want one of my tacos? And everything changed. So what my dad ordered was the taco plate, and it was 3 tacos, and they were soft shell tacos, and they had black beans and quinoa with like a really good sauce that was like Cholula, not like too spicy, but just like a tad bit spicy. And it had this really good cashew nacho cheese on them, and then it had guacamole on them. And it was like all my favorite things, and I was just like craving Mexican. I love Mexican food. It's like my favorite kind of food, and I haven't had Mexican food in forever. And my dad gave me one of his tacos, even though we were both super hungry. He was probably more hungry than I was because he had been schlepping around with me building IKEA furniture all day. And that's another one of my favorite things this month. I have this amazing new desk from IKEA and a new chair, and I'm really getting my new apartment, my new room really set up the way that I want it. And I have this new desk, and I'm calling it my executive desk. Like, my roommate just walked in before I was recording this, and she was like, wow, you look so official and like a girl boss. And I feel that way in my girl boss desk. So it was really nice of my very hungry dad to give me one of his tacos, and I couldn't even give him some of my sushi because he didn't even like that. So shout out to my dad for giving me one of his tacos. And it's totally something simple that I could recreate at home, but there's something about having food at a restaurant when somebody else makes it for you, and you don't have to do the dishes, and even the tacos, like, that's a bunch of different things that I would have to make. Like, you got to make the beans, and then you got to make the quinoa, and you got to make the tortillas, and you've got to make because they were homemade, and you've got to make the guacamole and the nacho cheese, and it's just like a lot of elements. So to have someone make that for you and just outsource that, I'm all about outsourcing the cooking. So that was great. And I mean, I love cooking too. I just wish that I had more time for it, but I love when other people cook for me. It's my favorite. And if any of you would like to volunteer to do so, let me know. I will come over to your house for dinner anytime. So one thing in the category of food is actually a tea, a drink that I've been drinking. And this is from my friend Stephanie's company, Earthroots Herbal Teas, and I've talked about her on the podcast. I had her on the podcast a couple episodes ago, but her variety pack of tea has been getting me through, and I drink one of those every day, but the Stay Immune tea is what I've been drinking right now, and I have a lot of travel coming up. I have a lot of just busyness in my life right now, and the Stay Immune tea is, I think, what's keeping me, knock on wood, not sick. So I highly recommend it and all of her teas, so check those out. Earthroots, will keep the link in the show notes. So that's what I have to say about food. That was way longer than I thought it was going to be. Music, honestly, I've just been listening to a lot of other people's playlists on Spotify. Old school music like Kelly Rowland and Nelly and like that. And I've honestly been listening to old school Taylor Swift. So like country Taylor Swift, her Speak Now album, her Red album, and basically those two. And it's just been hitting the spot. I don't know why. Maybe it's a nostalgia thing. I don't know. That's what I've been listening to. So that's nothing new. And I feel kind of lame not being able to share any new music with you this month. But hopefully next month I will have some new music. And maybe you guys could help me out with that and send me some of your favorites right now. Somebody make a playlist for me. That would be fantastic. I would really appreciate that. You wonder if you ever find your dreams. The app that I have been loving this month, and honestly I haven't been on it very much in the last couple of weeks, but I was on it for a day and I really loved it. It's called Anchor, and shout out to my friend Laura who listens to the podcast and told me about it, but it's all about audio, so of course I love it, and it's leaving short audios that you can share with people. The community on there just seems super nice. When you sign up, you make an intro one, and I got so many nice responses from people on there, and it just seemed really like a fun community where you can talk to people all over the world, and I want to get back on it and spend more time on it and just explore it more because it seems really fun, and I think getting onto apps when they're new is really special and really cool. So check out the Anchor app and send me some music and make some vegan tacos. And check out Before Sunrise and Before Midnight and listen to Alexi Wasser's podcast. Check out Nerdette. And everybody watch The Catch, if you feel like it, I guess. And let me know what you think. And then most of all, best of all, check out my book. Just buy a copy. It's a great way to support the podcast. And it's just a really great book. And I'm really proud of it, to be honest. So check out the book. Start journaling. Let me know if you have any questions. I love you guys. Hopefully I'll see many of you in New York next week. And I will be in LA actually in May, so I hope to see many of you there as well. More details to come on that as we get closer, but I love you guys 1 month at a time here, and I will be back next Wednesday with a fresh podcast. It's a great episode, and I'll talk to you then. Have a great weekend. The track you're hearing behind me now is by a guy named Kanye West. Have you heard of him? And the song is called I Wonder.